Welcome to the LifesTwists Show with your hosts, Terry Robinson, Lance Conley, and Eric Harrison.
Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. And I hope everybody got the gifts that they wanted. And if you didn't, then we're going to give it. Lance, Terry, and I are going to give this show as a gift. So get ready, because this is going to be a good one. And we're going to be talking about a lot of current events and things that's going on and how there's transition stories all over it. So we're not going to waste too much time. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my partners in crime. First and foremost, my man Lance Conley, better known as Jolly Old St. Nick. So what's going on, Lance? How you feeling?
Good. I'm feeling good tonight. Look forward to the show tonight, Eric.
Good, man. And then, I got my boy Terry. He too big to be an elf, so you know what I'm saying? He just handles business the way he knows how to handle business. So what's going on, Big T?
Not much, man. I'm ready to talk about this subject today.
All right, great. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lance. Lance, go ahead and bring us on into it, man, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I was talking to Terry last week, and he said he came across this article where Ice Cube loves basketball. I remember back in the day he talked about basketball quite a bit, and he played in a couple of those All-Star games for the celebrities, and a great businessman, rapper, movie star. Everything he's done's been successful. And so, one of the things we've talked about is the transition athletes make and how difficult it is. But Ice Cube is going to be undertaking a business, starting up a 3-on-3 basketball league for former basketball players. And he wants to call the league the Big Three. And he has the support of a former NBA Players Association director. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this league, how it takes off. And, I just want to get everybody's thoughts on that because, I have thoughts on that, but we'll kind of open it up and, discuss, everybody's thoughts on that league. And, just the mindset of some of those players, because what I've found is doing a little bit of research and the players that are possibly going to be involved. We have, Kenyon Martin, Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, Rashard Lewis, Jason Williams, and Chauncey Billups. And they were all great NBA basketball players. Now they're all between 38 and 40 years old, And, each of them had like 15 years on average time in the league. So they've had successful NBA careers, but now they might get involved in this 3-on-3. And, I just wanted to, as far as the league and, how you feel like, what's kind of going through some of these players' minds as far as wanting to transition from the NBA to a 3-on-3 league.
Well, Lance, we talked about it quite a bit, and I have mixed feelings about it actually, because the more we get into this subject or this topic, I'm starting to look at it from both ends. So I have been anyway. And one thing is, obviously, when I started, I said, "Wow, they're going to do a 3-on-3 league and with former NBA players." I guess when you look at it in the big scheme of things, it could be a good thing, and for the players. For some of them, it is going to be a good thing, and that's the reason why. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about it. Because one thing I do know for sure is all those guys, basketball was an escape for them. It was an escape from whatever reality that they faced before they even started playing basketball, whether they're conscious of it or not conscious of it. And so obviously, if you find a perfect escape, something that you can do that makes you feel better and forget about whatever it is that you don't want to deal with or don't necessarily need to deal with no more, continue to do it. As long as you're healthy enough to do it, you're not being, manipulated and controlled by the situation. So in that sense, I think it could be a good thing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, a lot of times we continue to run away from things that we need to deal with. And if that's the case, if that's the reason why some people are dealing with it, that's another thing. And then also, I don't know, what kind of business move this is, not just for Ice Cube, but the players as well. What kind of money are they stand to make? What is their financial situation? I mean, it could be an opportunity to make more money. Like, I don't know if you talked about this during this segment of the show, but how many of them guys actually graduated from college or that have jobs or businesses? You look at those kind of things, and all those things play into the potential of what Ice Cube is doing.
But emotionally, don't you feel like this will prolong the transition? I mean, I see it the way you do too, because you could look at it both ways. It actually might be a stepping stone to help ease the transition. Going from an NBA player to possibly having something to do. But just reading a little bit of history of some of these guys, I think Steven Jackson just recently said that. He said that he wants to go and play for the Bulls. I know Kenyon Martin, he just returned from China. I'm not sure. Chauncey Billups, he has a studio show, but I'm not sure about the other guys. But it just seems to me it just kind of prolongs the transition, because I have a good quote by Ice Cube, and I want to just kind of share this because I think it says a lot of what you have said in the past in the book, Terry, about some of the things, the emotional things that players go through. Cube said, I thought of this concept as a fan who got sick of seeing his heroes retire and not play anymore, which is just the opposite. I think if you're 37, 38, you should probably retire. I mean, that's the end of the road. But he created this league because, he's a big fan and these are some of his heroes. He said a lot of these guys can still play once they retire, just not the back-to-backs or 4 games in 5 nights. I started to look at 3-on-3 basketball and wondered, why is this played on a pro level? It's the most normal form of basketball. And from there, it was like, why not? Why don't we make this happen? And so basically, he feels like a lot of these guys can still play at that level in that type of setting on 3-on-3. But I'm just like, as a fan, do I really want to watch that? Do I really want to watch Kenyon Martin or, a Steven Jackson in a 3-on-3 format, or would I rather watch a Steph Curry or a Kevin Durant that are, 27, 28, 29 running up and down the court? So to me, it's just like, it's kind of sad for me, because I want to remember those guys, Kenyon Martin going up for a 2-hand power dunk versus, sitting on a court, a 3-on-3, laboring around at 40, 42 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. I definitely think it prolongs what we're talking about, or, when we talk about the athlete transition stress, because I think what's going to happen is they're going to get even more frustrated once they start doing that, and it doesn't give them what they thought they were going to get, because you're not going to get the same effect that you got playing in the NBA in that 3-on-3. You're not. And I think once you get to that level, I mean, that's kind of like, you guys ever heard of the saying, like crack cocaine? Once you use it, I'm saying, you chasing that high that you're never going to get no more. And this is another way of going about doing that, I believe.
So is that what you think do you think they're hanging on to the high, the competitiveness, the ability to make a little bit more money, but you think a brand new league, 3-on-3, what kind of money are they going to be making? So what's the incentive when you're 38, 39 years old to go jump back on a court, whether it's 3-on-3 or 5-on-5? It's right. Basketball. You know what I mean?
It is. It's no different than like when Eric and I, when we got out of college, guess what we did? We started playing AAU basketball, playing in different YMCA leagues. It's the same thing, but like I said, it created more frustration than anything else for me. I don't know how Eric's situation was, but for me, I continued to play, so I was still trying to go back to something that I was comfortable with, but it was no longer there no more. It was a different setup. Everything was different. So it wasn't the same thing. And that's what eventually got me, frustrated and tired. I'm like, man, why am I doing this? Why do I keep coming back to this when it's over? Because at some point in time, you have to accept that, like you said earlier, it's over. You know what I mean? I don't care what you call it. You're still trying to figure out, your way. And this game or whatever it is that you're participating in, it took you to a certain level. Now it's time to go to a different level, maybe in a different activity, doing something else, so you can be productive. Because you really can't grow no more. You know what I mean? Because you've done this and you actually take steps down. You're not taking steps up. Because you can play on 3-on-3 in a recreational league and get the same thing out of it. You may make a little money doing it this way, but is it exploitation? I don't know. Is it a business move? Because I think Ice Cube, on the other hand, if he can pull that off and get TV contracts as a business person, that's a good deal.
Definitely a good deal.
But the players, right?
Yeah. But and really, again, and we kind of talked about this earlier too. With me, man, I kept playing. The thing about it is, I kept playing, man, because it wasn't just for the sheer enjoyment. I think it was more so still the competition piece. I think I also was playing with good friends of mine who still wanted to compete. I had moved back to Chicago, so back in Chicago, it's guys that play. I mean, literally, there's guys in Chicago that play when they're 60 years old.
Right.
Still running up and down the court, shooting the ball. I mean, they 50 and over leagues. I mean, they got that all day long, all day, every day. And then they got certain teams that win those leagues every year. So, those guys take it seriously. They still want to play. So, for Ice Cube to do that on the 303 level, on a high level, and on a national stage with players that we know, man, it's funny. The players are going to want to do it, but then it's going to be wild because there's going to be ex-players who just played the game of basketball that just want to see if them dudes still got it. So they're kind of playing off of that transition piece. You know what I mean? Which is wild.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. But
they're actually playing off the transition stress that the regular everyday dudes got. Which is wild.
Yeah, but my question becomes, to a certain point, because we keep using the word competitive, is it that or is it actually survival? And I want people to really think about this because a lot of these guys that we're talking about, when they were growing up, points out in this book, a lot of times it is about survival. Are these guys really competing, or are they still trying to survive? And to me, there's a total difference because you have a different mindset when you're trying to survive versus compete. And I guess that's just something that, I just thrown out there for the people to think about because I think they're trying to survive. I think they're just.
But you know what though, Lance, and Terry, you could chime in on this. But really, when you think about it, Lance, it's one and the same. It's one and the same. Because really, you have to realize. Remember what we've been telling people, that all of this with athlete transition stress is the fact that you've been doing this stuff all your life. So that is the way that you survive, is to compete at any level. You know what I mean? And to us, like what you said, Lance, you don't want to see Kenyon Martin running around there, you know what I'm saying, maybe grabbing his back or something, or, he can't get up like he used to and all that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to see that. But then those guys who are in the competition, who are in the battle at the time, man, they really living, they really living their life. They really living that good life that they had. So, and I'm guilty of that myself. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just funny. It's really gonna be funny to see how this plays out. Players, but Ice Cube, of course, to see what he's gonna do and how much money he's gonna make, and then also just the people who watch it, like how people really get into it, because how we are about our sports, man. We always want to talk about. That's probably why this show is probably so popular, because we always talking about something, right? Especially with sports.
Exactly.
Sports.
That's gonna give them something to talk about. Go
exactly.
ahead.
Well, and my question to you guys, too, is something I want you to think about is, when Michael went to the Wizards, did you guys really want to watch him play? And did you feel, excited for him? Wow, or did you feel kind of sad, man, I don't like to see Michael play like this. He could still score, believe me, he could still score. But, he wasn't the same guy. And, I think in our minds we create this hero, gosh, we want this guy to be like this. And, time passes everybody by, and I just hate to see another person put themselves through that, but maybe that's the way they got to learn. Maybe that's how they get through the transition. You know, and like you said, Eric, it's interesting to see how this is all going to turn out, not only for the league, but for the players themselves, because that's what I'm concerned about. Because so often every business, every system along the way has made money off these guys, and that's what's going to happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I didn't like seeing Mike in the number 45, so I definitely like seeing him in the Wizards. So
right, because
you know,
like you said, Chicago, Lance. Exactly, T. You hit it right on there. I'm like, no, I ain't like it. And you know what? I ain't gonna even lie. I ain't catch up. You know when I saw him in the Wizards uniform on SportsCenter highlights. I did not watch any Wizards games. I didn't fuck because I'm kind of that Bulls fan. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to let go of them 6 championships for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's all right. Go ahead, Mike. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I really wasn't into it like that.
So I definitely think, Lance, you're making some great points. Great points.
Yes.
Because you're talking about the psychological effects, of the whole experience. And like you said, them guys are going to try to hold on as long as they can. And I think Ice Cube is probably going to capitalize on that as long as he can. And I wouldn't say that he's doing that intentionally. I guess he probably see it as, man, I see these guys walking around, man, and they need something to do, man. Let's create a league, man. Let's have some more fun. Let's keep having fun, And these guys are like, yeah.
Exactly. And AT, think about this, though, and we mentioned this earlier, and this is great that we talked about this and we saved it for the show, but, Ice Cube going through a transition too, man. And actually, he's been very successful because, of course, what do we know Ice Cube for? As the member of NWA, you know what I'm saying? Which that's when they made their first money. And then they kind of broke up. They had all their stuff that they went through. But, man, look at the transition that he's made. Look at the transition that Dre has made. I mean, Dre's a billionaire now because he went and did something else. So it's just kind of funny how all of this stuff is interwoven together. Plus, hey, guys, you always know what they say. Rappers want to be basketball players, and basketball players want to be rappers. So all this stuff is like interwoven together, man. It's kind of funny to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
true. Let me say this, though, guys. Say, because obviously Ice Cube loves basketball. A lot of these guys are his friends that, he knows personally. And, he sees it as a business opportunity, an opportunity for a lot of his heroes to keep playing. But if, Terry hands Ice Cube that book about transition stress, because my fear or my thoughts are, a lot of people aren't educated about transition stress. And a lot of times, people just keep moving forward. And, if Terry or Ice Cube had the opportunity to read Terry's book, would he look at it differently? I think that's what one of our goals is, to get out there and educate people, to actually look at things a little bit differently, in society to look at things a little bit different, when, some of these players are at the end of their cycle or the end of their time, and how do they walk away from it? And I just don't necessarily think that, it's maybe a stepping stone to help walk away from it, but physically, psychologically, I don't think it quite, gets them there, because I think they're still hanging on to something that they haven't let go of. And like you said, there's something that's. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lance. Because I'm just thinking while you're talking, I'm just thinking like, I was never a professional athlete, but I can only imagine because, for me, it was sports and some of the social stuff, but as a professional athlete, it's the game, the lifestyle. These guys not even used to being at home. They're on the road 4 or 5 nights a week. They out, they hanging out, they partying, they mingling with the stars and everybody else. Once that ends, and if they don't have the money to continue doing that, I think they're looking for that high as well. So it's not. I think it's more components when you're a professional athlete, especially an elite, an NBA player or NFL player. So I think all those things come with it. And Ice Cube is like, hey, let's get the party started. And they like, look, because they talking about doing it in all these different cities that don't have NBA teams and all these different things. So I'm thinking when they start thinking, that bill is going off in their head. It's not just basketball, but it's the whole lifestyle. I get a chance to do this again. Because I don't know if when you're out of the league, do you continue living that type of lifestyle? Does it change? I don't know. I wasn't a professional athlete, but I could put two and two together, and I believe that it's a lifestyle too. You know, and not just the sports. All these things that create this environment, that creates this high, man, this adrenaline rush from just being a professional athlete. Like one of my best buddies, that Joy, who played in Australia for some years, he was like, man, he said it wasn't nothing like being called a professional athlete. He said, I could have owned businesses, I could have did this, but just the sound of I'm a professional basketball player, he said, I love that. And without that, it's an emptiness, man. So I think Ice Cube is smart enough to figure that out and say, man, these guys, you know, hey, I can put you back in the game, and not just the physical basketball game, but in the game. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, because I think it's more of a mental thing, like a psychological thing, still feeling like you're a part of something. And, you know, obviously basketball's that strong association.
Exactly.
I can bet you if you would pull any of these guys aside when they were 20, 21 years old and say, you know what, guys, you're going to play 15 years in the league, and when you're 40 years old, you're going to play in a 3-on-3 league, they'll look at you and say, you're crazy. Man, I've never played in a 3-on-3 league.
Exactly. Man, I ain't doing that.
Right. And so it just says that, you know, just to me, it just says what a person's willing to do in order to keeping the, like Terry said, the limelight, or the you know, the excitement, or just being a part of a team, or the competitive nature. And you know, it's just I wish the NBA or excuse me, you lost me there. The NBA or, you know, some of these leagues would do a better job of, and they probably try to prepare these guys to mentally make that transition before they leave. Because, you know, I think a lot of these guys are, you know, husbands or fathers, and you think at some point you'd want to make that transition to that life. You know what I mean? Because obviously when you're on the road playing 3-on-3, you're not necessarily at home all the time. And I think a lot of times they could make a bigger impact, you know, in their child's lives and being more available in that arena. But yeah, I mean, that's just some of my thoughts on that.
That's awesome. So you know what? This is a great time. This is a great time for a break. I know we rolling on this conversation, but guys, we're gonna pick this up right after we take this quick commercial break. Again, man, thank you so much for this past year. This is our 8th show. Man, 8 shows going strong, and we're moving strong right into 2017. We're going to be right back with more great conversation on the LifesTwists show.
Sports is a common denominator in the lives of people everywhere. Our celebration of sports creates an environment that gives athletes an amazing experience that enhances their lives. Athletes work long and hard to be the best at that thing that gives them so much elation. But what happens after the athlete is done? When a circumstance comes up and they're no longer able to play that sport? Whether it's the high school athlete who doesn't get that scholarship to go to the next level, or the college athlete that doesn't get picked in the draft, or even the professional athlete who now has to retire and find something else to do day to day. Many athletes struggle with this transition from competition to regular everyday life. This transition causes trauma, and that trauma often leads to depression, anxiety, anger, and even health issues. Author Terry Robinson noticed this problem and researched it and came up with the book, Athlete Transition Stress. This book deals with the subconscious programming and conditioning that goes on in an athlete's mind while participating in a sport. So if you or anyone you know are dealing with these issues related to transitioning from a sport, pick up the book, Athlete Transition Stress, and share your story in our global community online at www.letgroup1.com. Athlete Transition Stress is available on Amazon.com and on the LET Group website at www.letgroup1.com.
Yes, yes, yes. The book is Athletes Transition Stress. Man, awesome book. Terry did his thing with the book. We are just so excited about all the great response that we've been getting. And we're just so thankful, first of all, for the opportunity to share about this awesome subject, because it's affecting so many people. And so many people are coming back to us and telling us that they didn't even realize what was going on with them. And when we began to kind of explain about the transition and about just how sports affected their lives for most of their lives, they're really understanding, how to deal with certain things in their lives that they didn't understand. And then now they're able to get over it and move on and do bigger and better things. So guess what? I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to you, Terry, because you brought up something else, too, about our guy, George Karl. He's been in the news, too, a little bit. So let's go ahead and talk about him for a while.
Yeah, I wonder how many people actually paid attention to it. I'm sure you have, because they posted it everywhere. And anyway, George Karl is coming out with a book called Furious George. Similar to Curious George, but Furious George. And for the people that don't know, he was a coach in the NBA. He coached at 6 or 7 different teams, over the last 2 decades pretty much. I think it might have been 40 years. Close to it. Not 40 years, but about 20 years. And he came out with a book, and the book will come out next month, actually. So it's, some of the media has got copies of it, like some of the press, and they're leaking some of the information out and how he was talking about some of his former players, like Carmelo Anthony and J.R. Smith, and who else was it that he was talking about? A couple of players.
Kenyon Martin was in there. Yeah.
And Kenyon Martin. And he was pretty raw with it, expressing some of his feelings. And so I read it. When I read it, I took it a couple of different ways, because I'm trying to analyze it. I'm trying to analyze everything, him as well as the players. Man, he made some comments. He pretty much said that those guys, Carmelo was a very selfish player, and he didn't care about defense, and he always wanted to share it. He always wanted the spotlight and never wanted to share it. So Carmelo didn't really respond to it. He said, "I'm not going to even go there." But the other 2 guys, they made a couple of comments, and Kenyon Martin was really upset because he actually said some things that I think are hurting. He pretty much said those guys didn't have father figures, and he thinks that's why they turned out the way that they did. And I'm not saying they turned out bad, because obviously those guys were very successful doing what they were doing. But at the same time, I believe that some of the statements that he said, there's a little truth in everything. But I think it was how he went about saying it. Was he trying to hurt these guys? Was he trying to, just express his frustration in dealing with these guys over the years? Or was he trying to sell books? Who knows? I think it's probably a combination. And plus, he got his own stuff that he's still dealing with. Because if you've been fortunate enough to coach in a league like that for all those years, and you still bitter, what's going on with you personally, internally? Because, once again, he was a former athlete, former professional player, played at the University of North Carolina. So he has some athlete transition stress stuff going on, too, I'm sure. Plus, he just overcame cancer. And not to get into all of that, but cancer, that's another thing. And I think, why did you stay in the league that long? If these guys were so, that bad, so frustrating, dealing with these babies, because he called them AAU babies, and divas, why did you continue coaching? Why didn't you walk away? Because you stood to benefit something from those guys. And of course, these guys, they didn't like what he said. And they competitors, type A personality. So, yeah, they're going to fire back. And they firing back, and they're going to continue to fire back. So I'm curious to see how this story is going to develop. Yes.
Yeah, because, I totally agree with you, Terry. What I find interesting is, man, it's such a sensitive topic. When you start talking about families, the fathers, because, a lot of these players, that he's talking about specifically. I know Carmelo, his father passed away when he was 2 of some, I believe, a heart ailment or maybe a liver issue. And, Carmelo had a big family, and his mom had to work extremely hard. He grew up in a neighborhood in Baltimore that actually the name they had for the community was the pharmacy because there were so many drugs. It's just a pretty tough neighborhood. And to me, I'm listening to Carmelo's response, and what his response is tells me a level of maturity because, what you hear about Carmelo, I don't like the way he plays basketball for sure. Great offensive player, but outside of basketball, it sounds like he gets it. Like he has businesses. He's looking for opportunities outside of basketball, and maybe he's come to terms with that issue a little bit more since it is so sensitive. I think the players that react maybe really haven't dealt with it because it is such a sensitive issue, and a lot of times, people move forward, like you said in the book, without dealing with their issues. You look like a Kenyon Martin or a J.R. Smith, both players that reacted to it pretty strongly. Maybe that's what it tells me is maybe they haven't really dealt with that particular issue, because it's a pretty traumatic event like you talked about. A lot of times people avoid it and use escapes such as basketball, competing and things like that to cope with it. And so to me it's just a interesting group of individuals, all different circumstances, but all come from single parents, but and all are moving forward differently. And I like Carmelo what he's doing off the court because to me, I think he's already making the transition away from basketball. I like a lot of those members of those groups that are doing that, like a Chris Paul or a LeBron. I think some of those players are getting it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is personality too, because you have J.R. Smith and Kenyon Martin. Those are two emotional guys. They kind of wear their emotions on their sleeve. Carmelo is more laid back, smooth operator. So I wouldn't say that he's completely dealt with his stuff either. He's probably dealing with it a different way, and maybe he have a little bit different support around him. People telling him don't even make a comment before you even think it. Don't make a comment. Then you got some people, man, I'm making a comment if I want to, and I can see J.R. Smith and Kenyon Martin. Like, man, I'm gonna say what I want to say because that's kind of how they play too, and that's kind of they like I said, those are emotional guys, very emotional. So I don't think it'll take much to push their buttons. You know what I mean? And especially when you say something like he said, when you go there, talking about their parents and their upbringing. I mean, that's gonna create a storm. So
it's pretty sensitive. But Terry, I think in several of our conversations, I remember one of the things that you always told me that. And I think, not having a father figure, sometimes males have a more difficult time with authority, and sometimes receiving authority. And, when you say, players are more emotional, that's kind of their personality. Do you think that kind of relates to not having that strong male figure in their lives?
I mean, it can. I don't want to say that
that's a connection there. Yeah.
I believe that there is. And he was probably trying to be that authority figure in their life, and they rebelled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I could see those guys rebelling, because if I was in their shoes, I probably would have rebelled too. It just depends on the structure that's set. You know what I mean? And you look at Melo, he just happened to be in the right places at the right time. I think going to where he went to college, Boeheim, he understood him. And gave him the support that he needs for him so he could be successful.
Uh-huh.
But what if he went to another school, like where he played under Bobby Knight? Would he have had the same experience? Or do you think they would, or even Mike Krzyzewski? Would those guys have been successful in this program? Who knows? You know what I mean? So, and I know it's a whole nother different subject, but I'm just thinking out loud as we're talking. When you have these certain type of male figures, I mean, they're not going to get what they could potentially get out of these players because of the conflict, because of those conflicts that these guys have grown up with, without having that. And then you have this person that comes from that. It's like oil and water. It's not going to work. It's not going to mix, because why do these guys leave and go to other programs and be so much more successful? You know, why couldn't they do the same thing in his program? You know, and I believe that's part of it.
Yeah, T, exactly. You know what? The other thing too, man, is, and this is the side that I see too, and this is a big part of what we try to share with people about the transition from being an athlete and playing and being relevant to not playing anymore and not really being relevant in that sport is this. Guys, the bottom line with this is money too. George Karl knew that those statements would be very controversial. You think he didn't? He knew that from the beginning that was going to be controversial. He knew that these guys was going to say something. And now, guess what? All publicity is good publicity, whether it's bad or good. So guess what people are going to do? They're going to go check that book out. They're going to want to see an expert. They're going to want to hear him speak. They're going to want to have a piece of George Karl somewhere, somehow. And what people have done, whether it's Stephen A. Smith, whether it's Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin, all the guys, J.R. Smith, all these guys that he talked about, the more that they throw fuel on that fire, man, everybody's going to want to get burned by it. And it's sad, but these guys, even though now some of them aren't even playing anymore, some still are, but they've moved on with their careers. I mean, J.R. Smith won a championship. I mean, Carmelo's in New York, man. New York loves Carmelo. Even though they're losing or whatever, I mean, Carmelo's made a good name for himself in New York. So these guys have went on and transitioned from his program, right, Terry? And Lance, they've transitioned, they've moved on. But then he's bringing back something up in their past so that he can make $1. So that's kind of how I see it too. And I think that's crazy. And also I think that's kind of how sports in general does many athletes, whether it's college or pro.
And it's competition at best. I'm gonna get one up on you. It's competition, and you got other players that have played in the NBA. They're making comments too, like Jason Terry, for example. He said when he was at University of Arizona as a sophomore, he used to work the camp, George Karl's camps in Washington. And he said, he came to him one time and whispered in his ear, "You'll never make it to the league." He said that was my motivation. He said, I never forgot that. He told me I could never make it, that I was lazy and this and that. He said, I'm in the league 18 years. He said, I never forgot that. He said, but that's what motivated me to do what I'm doing now. And I said, wow. You know what I mean? So, hey, he's an athlete. These are athletes, and it's all about competition. I'm going to get one up on you.
Right.
And I think, like you said, and the people that's behind him, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, T. Go ahead. Make your point.
And like you said, the people behind him, the people that's helping him with this book, they knew that too. Like you said, he got resources, so they know. All you have to do is do this. We'll get this book out here. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I believe that George Karl, the people behind him may be thinking that, but I think this is what he really wanted to do anyway. He just never, when he had to wait till he got out the league to express what he really thought and what he really felt. That's how it came across to me. This is what he really feels and believes. You know what I mean? Because there's a fraternity here when you're talking about NBA players or college basketball players, and you just don't cross those lines. You just don't do it. I don't care how mad you are. But he was so mad, and I think he took this stuff on so much, and I think that played a part in him developing cancer. Because he's sitting here, he's dealing with this, and it's just, he knows he doesn't want to be here, but he has to be here. Or he feels like he has to be here. He don't want to give it up, so it made him sick. And so now he's getting healthy, and now he's starting to express his true self, his true feelings. And which is the same thing we all have to do to stay healthy. Eventually, we can't hold stuff in that we know we need to let go. So now he's saying, now they're talking about how the league, steroid abuse is rampant in the NBA. People don't think it, but, why is it that certain people go over to Germany and they look, he's saying that they should, after you've been in the league 15, 20 years, you should be fat or something. He said these guys look slimmer, in better shape than they were when they first got into the league. So he's bringing out a whole lot of stuff. And I think he's been sitting on this stuff for years because he probably felt like I can't do it while I'm in the league or for whatever reason. And now I'm out and I'm pissed off and I done been sick. I'm tell everything. I'm getting it off my chest. And whoever likes it, I don't care. Because I'd rather be alive and healthy than sitting here sick, knowing that I've been sitting on this information all these years and not dealing with it, not addressing it. So I don't care, and I think that's his approach.
Wow, that's amazing, Lance. What you think, man? Because that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And to me, sometimes the truth is a difficult thing to handle. In the way it's coming out, it's not the best because it does cross a code in the locker room between coach and player. But the truth is there's some truth to what he's saying. And if you really break it down and you look at it, there probably is. Because I look at it, what if I didn't have my father in my life? How would that have changed? You know what I mean? And, something we can think about is we can all think about that because, we're all fathers in a way. You know what I mean? What kind of role we play, especially with our kids. And we do have an influence, whether we like it or not. And we do play a role. And I think when George talked about it, even though it comes across as pretty insensitive, there is some truth to it because, not having that particular person in your life, I mean, it's one thing. I think it's important to recognize it. As long as you recognize it, you can't change it. But once you deal with it, I don't think you're as sensitive to it when someone does talk about it because you probably would agree with them. Say, yeah, my father wasn't in my life and it did make a difference, but I got through it. You know what I mean? So it's a sensitive, tough subject to talk about, and it's one that needs to be talked about because, in sports, I think it just becomes all about the game and not about the people. And the truth is if we look at it a little bit deeper, we can help the people versus the player. And I think when we talk about Carmelo and some of these guys, what I mean, like we talk about when they're 40, 45. Where are they going to be? Are they going to make that transition out of sports? And, when you have someone there for you at a young age that plays a significant role, do they help you through those transitions? I can still, call my father up and, get advice. You know what I mean? And not everybody can do that, and I'm thankful that I do have the opportunity to do that. But, it's something that has to be talked about, not something that everybody's comfortable even talking about. So to me, it's a good subject because you can make a difference when you talk about the uncomfortable things.
Exactly. And Lance, the other thing too, T and Lance, T, you bring this up all the time, and I love the fact that you brought this up in the past. The thing that Karl is saying that's wrong with them, right, is probably the thing that pushed them to be as great as they are. The fact that they did not have fathers probably was a motivating factor for those guys to be as great as they were. Because many times, like T, you've always said, and the book says this many times in many places, is that the negative situations that happen in our life forge us and make us even stronger so that we can overcome these crazy obstacles. Because the mindset that these dudes had is like, hey, I got to make it. I don't have no other choice, you know what I mean? And when they lock in like that, that's when the greatness comes. I mean, what do you think, T? Is that right? You think that's right?
I know it to be right. You know what I mean? I know it to be right because I can look at people like Babe Ruth, Wilma Rudolph. Like Babe Ruth, I don't know if you guys ever read his history, but he grew up in a home. When he was a kid. Mm-hmm. And what did he develop and become? He definitely suffered from alcoholism though because of it. But before all that, he became one of the best baseball players we ever known. Wilma Rudolph, she came from a family of 21, and she had polio. She had polio, and she worked her butt off. She won 3 gold medals. I mean, so you look at Mike Tyson. What was his childhood like? Mike Tyson went through hell too. So you're right. All these things, all this stuff motivates a lot of people, especially our elite athletes. Most of them have been so traumatized that they escape into these sports and they develop and they become the best thing since sliced bread. But once you do that, you develop in that, and then when that's no longer there, that's when you hit that wall, so to speak. And that's what we're trying to do to create an awareness to do some prevention before people actually hit that wall. You know what I mean? Right. And a lot of times people have been they've gone through so much stuff. And these guys, Kenyon Martin, and like you said, Carmelo losing his dad at 2 years old, coming from a big family. I mean, that's traumatizing. Well, he developed. Look at how he developed as an athlete. You know,
exactly.
he pulled himself out of that. And so what we want him to do is be aware of the whole process. You know, why did you develop like this? You know what I mean? You know, I'm not saying it's all because of what he went through, but I guarantee you it was a perfect escape for him. It was the most comforting thing to him, and that's why he loves it. But when you take that away, then you have to find that other thing. What is the other thing going to be? And a lot of times it's service to other people.
Yeah,
right. It's service to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that Kenyon Martin is actually doing. So if he continues to do that and deal with this stuff the right way, he's going to be okay. You know, the bottom line is you have to do something for somebody else because somebody stepped in to help those guys get on the right track too. So because people say, okay, what's the solution? Service to somebody else that's less than you, not necessarily less than a person, but has less or in less fortunate situations or circumstances. And that's what we're doing. Because this show helps me. The book, the show, all the stuff that we talk about, it helps me. And so I need this too. You know, and if I'm going to be competitive, I'd rather be competitive over here, not in a basketball game no more. You know what I mean? I want to be competitive right here because I don't have any limits here, you know. And if we help one person or 1,000 people, I'm good.
Wow, that's powerful. This is a great point for us to go ahead and play and have another commercial. Man, this has been a great, great show. We're going to play this commercial. We're going to get this out of the way, and then we're going to come back and get ready to start closing down the show. But, man, great, great commercial. And, hey, guys, if you can, call in. We got a little time to take a call. Look, the guest call-in number is 323-642-1579. Again, that is 323-642-1579. We need to hear somebody else's voice besides ours. We would love to have a discussion with one of you guys out there. So give us a call.
The LET Group was established in 2016. Lance Conley, Eric Harrison, and Terry Robinson came together in agreement to build a model of integrity, hard work, and excellence. All three share a passion for health and creativity, using outside-of-the-box thinking. They all have backgrounds in sports and entrepreneurship. Lance and Terry have over 50 years of combined experience in the mental health field, and Eric has over 25 years of experience in marketing and business. They came together to build a service that would literally change lives. The LET Group offers seminars, books, and other tools to encourage, educate, and enhance the quality of life for those in need. For more information on the tools and resources that the LET Group offers, visit www.letgroup1.com.
Hello. Yes, the LET Group. I have been truly blessed with my relationship with these two gentlemen, Terry and Lance. They have helped me not only personally with many of the things that I didn't understand about myself, and it affected a lot of the people that I loved, and I was being the type of guy that nobody wanted to be around, and just sitting down and having a conversation with these guys really, really helped me, and I really, really appreciate it. Over time, and over the last 6 months, we've built up a website that has tremendous resources. So we want you to go out there, www.letgroup1.com. We have transition stories. We've got videos. We've got our old shows archived. We've got an excerpt of the book. We've got so much out there. So go out there and check it out. Right now, we've just had a caller call, and we got about 10 minutes left. So I'm just going to jump the caller right in, and I'm going to ask who they are. And, guys, let's go ahead. Y'all roll with me, okay? And let's get this caller going. So here we go. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello, caller.
Is that me?
Yes, that's you. How you doing today? You're actually on the air right now.
I call myself just calling in to listen in, man. I'm just calling to listen in, Eric. I wasn't
really?
Yeah, I'm just calling to listen in. That's what I was doing. I was sitting there some time.
Wait a minute. Hold up. I know this is not Irv, right? Is this Irv?
I can't tell you a lie. Yeah, that's me.
What up, Herb? How you doing?
I was calling just listening in, man. I'm all right.
Well, you late,
Hey,
man.
No, this is great, man. Look, we got about 9 minutes left. So you know what? You ain't got to be on here long. So you ain't going to say nothing to embarrass yourself in 9 minutes, okay? Hey, Lance and Terry, say what's up to Herb, man.
Hey, Herb, what's up, man?
What up, Lance? How you doing?
What up, Ma?
What up, big boy? Man, I was sitting at dinner house with my mom, and they took me in the back. And then I got on Facebook, and I remember y'all couldn't get on, but I didn't want to be in here on the phone talking out loud. So I said, let me go listen to y'all listen to the show.
Oh, man, so you're in the dentist office. Oh, my God. Oh, man, my fault, man.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, listen, talk low. Look, this is what we're talking about. We are talking about what your boy George Karl said about all the players that played for him, man. So, you know, you kind of got a gist of what's going on. You as a former player and you as a coach right now, what do you think of what this dude did? Real quick.
Trying to sell some books.
Right.
Yeah. That's it in the nutshell.
You're going to sell plenty of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's all that is. That's trying to make some money.
Yeah. And put them guys out there like that, man. I mean, you know, it's all about the money. And it seems like they're using them players all over again, right? You know, they already played.
I think it's very unprofessional. I think that's very. I mean, you know, in a case like this, and I think this is for me is unprofessional. It's like when you and Terry become real successful with this, and this thing blows up, and you know everything y'all out here, then I come back and write a book on y'all about the dirty stuff, you know, the dirty lines. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what that's like. And I put it out there as if, man, the lies of Terry Robinson and Eric Harrison that nobody knew about.
And Herb, if you put our lies
that's what I said. That's what I
beat down, we're going to come find you.
We want our cut of the book that you know. Yeah. Hey, man. Good to hear your voice, man.
And I just think it's unprofessional. It's very unprofessional.
Yeah,
and a lot of it's bitter. A lot of it's bitterness, and because he didn't get the things that he wanted, how his career didn't go, and now I'll fix this situation. I'll rather tell him, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, remember back in the day, we used to always talk about this, and guys, remember my man did it for Villanova when he won the national championship. A couple of years later after he won, he going spill the beans about how high he was and things.
McClain.
The point guard.
You know. Yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day, me and Terry talked about it back then, and it was one of them things that we both kind of looked at it like, what was the purpose of it? You did it, then you're going to throw other people under the bus after the fact. Make everybody else look like they were wrong with something you did. And it's the same thing with guys that collect money in college. You know, when they go to college, they know they're doing it wrong. When they get caught,
right.
After years and they end up in depression, they want to turn around a book about how I got paid
Chris Webber
to go to the University of so-and-so. You know, what's the purpose of it?
Like Chris Webber.
You was doing it.
Exactly.
So that, I just think that, to me, is unprofessional, and then it's bitterness, you know.
Because I think you always look at people's motives or incentives when they do something, but removing all that, do you see anything positive that can come out of what he said? Because we know his motives are to sell books, but can it create or lead to a discussion to talk about some issues?
Well, I think it's one of the ones from a coaching standpoint. I like to be positive, and the idea is to help people. If I'm doing anything and I'm putting it out here to help others become better people, and if that's my motive behind it, then I'll put it out there. And they said, man, they're going to X amount of dollars. Every dollar I get or part of the dollar I get, I donate to charity, and I donate to the cause of helping others that would like me. I can say that's positive. To me, I think that's what you should do, to me. Because if I'm going to spill the beans on somebody did something, But then I'm not going to just collect the money and go run with it so I can go do the things that they were doing now, because I want the money. Let me go be helpful. I'm just going to I want to help. If it's something I knew a former player was doing that was really detrimental to his career and others were doing it, then I'm going to spill the beans so I can help others. If I knew they were taking steroids back in the 80s, I'm going to tell it, and that's what it should be told. But I'm going to do it from a helpful standpoint. I'm not doing it just to make some money off the charity. I'm going to do it to help others in the process of it, and I think that's where it comes from. I haven't read the whole book, The Extra Growth Karl, or what he said. I just hear the different pieces. I know people are mad by it, but from what I'm gathering, and without reading the book, I can't say if he was positive or negative in it. But I know the motive behind it for me had to be money, because he's not going to make money to charity. He's not putting no money behind charity when he does it. So
exactly.
That's my take on it. From
well, good. Well, well, we got about 3 minutes left. So Terry, I'm gonna let you ask your boy one last question before we get him off the phone. Go ahead, T.
Well, he's a former athlete, and he's conditioned to win. And do you think it's about winning to him? Why he did what he did? Because I'm sure them guys probably read him up and down. You wasn't no controlling those guys, and I'm sure it pissed him off. But he didn't want to let that NBA job go. He figured, I may have lost over there, but I'm gonna win this time. And I think that's part of our conditioning as athletes. We don't ever want to lose. And when you got one up on me, I'm gonna get one up on you. My time is now, and this is how I'm gonna do it. So, do you think it has anything to do with his competitive nature? Why he did what he did?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, if you want to take it from the way from every aspect there, the bottom line is money. We win by dollar amount. Am I correct? By how much money I got in the bank.
Right.
Winning. If you got $5 million, I got $10 million in the bank, I'm winning. I got more than you. So you flip that script and then put the situation with George Karl is going through now. I didn't be successful as I wanted to be as an NBA coach. Never got an NBA ring. And then these players disrespected me. They got me dogged out in Sacramento like I was a drunk and I was all the other things. So let me put something out about these fools. That's what he probably called them. And I'm going to put some out first. And in the process, it is a competitive. Oh, there's no doubt. Because what would be the motive behind it? And anything with motive but money behind it is based upon what? My ego and me winning. So, that's the whole principle behind it. That's no doubt. That's what I said. I came up with a book about you and Eric right now, and y'all was the whole purpose of me doing it is from what? I'm going to try to piggyback off of y'all. So, hey, y'all did something good. Well, I'm going to do something good. Now I'm winning. Exactly. Y'all made 5 million. I'm going to make 10. I'm winning. Yeah, and I'm going to show it in y'all face. Man, I appreciate it. I ain't going to, be y'all friend like that, but I'm going to let y'all know I won.
Exactly.
Everything we do is competitive.
But that's the truth, man. That's the truth. Man, you know what, man? I'm so glad you called in. Man, I appreciate you, man. I know you don't like doing this kind of stuff because you like to be low-key. But, hey, everybody, this dude that's on the phone right now, this dude has helped a lot of players get to a lot of places. And also he helps a lot of people after they've played the game of basketball. Got an amazing story. Also, he's got a story on our site, too. His transition stories on the site, too. So, I'm trying to get this dude famous so he don't have to write no book to make no money about me. But anyway, moving right along. Look, we got about 30 seconds left, so I just want to get ready to sign off. Man, this was a great show, right, guys? Amazing show.
Definitely.
Yeah. We really appreciate you guys. And this is the last show of 2016, so we want to thank everyone who has supported us and given us so much love. And go to our website, www.letgroup1.com. I'm telling you, it's so much stuff out there that's interesting, on point, and, hey, it will take you to the next level for sure. So we're going to sign off right now, and we thank you for joining us. And Happy New Year to everyone that's listening. Take it easy. Thank you for joining us on the LifesTwists show. When you have a chance, please check out our website at www.letgroup1.com. and see all of the things that we'll be doing over the next several weeks. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you soon.